Balancing equations. Now, when we balance equations, we think about them in the same way that we think about a weighing scale. Now, on that weighing scale, for them to balance, both sides have to be equal in weight. Now, if I am to add a weight or take away a weight from any side of the equation, I must do the exact same thing to the other side, because if I don't, then the weighing scale simply won't balance and they'll tip to one side if I do one thing to one side and not to the other. For instance, if I am to add some weight to this side, I must also add the same weight to this side for it to still balance. If I double the weight, triple the weight, quadruple the weight to one side, I must do the same thing to the other. The same thing is true for these equations. So we might have an equation where we start off with 20x plus 8 is equal to 21x plus 3. Now the key here is to look at any term in this equation and look to eliminate it. By eliminate, we can subtract it if it's positive, or we can add it if it's negative, because we know if you have a negative value and the equivalent positive value, when you put them together, they will eliminate each other. The same is true of division and multiplication. If you have something which is being multiplied by amount and I want to cancel out, I can divide, and that will leave me with the original amount. If something which is being divided, I can multiply it to take me back to original amount. For instance, if I have a pizza and it's being shared by 4 people, I can take the amount that each person gets, which is a quarter, multiply it by 4, and I get a quarter. So, looking at this, I can see that I have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4 different terms. Now, it's totally up to you which term you decide to eliminate. However, it's good practice to avoid negative numbers, because you want to find the positive value of the unknown and not negative, because they are different. So I always start off with the lowest term. In this case, it happens to be 3. So I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides because it's positive. And to eliminate 3, I will need to subtract 3 from both sides of the equation. So if I subtract 3 from here and subtract 3 from here, I end up with 20x plus not 8 but 5 now equals 21x. Now the next lowest term happens to be 5. Now what's crucial about this point here is if I try to eliminate 5, what's going to happen is this left hand side isn't going to get much simpler, and nor is the right hand side going to get much simpler, because it's going to get the 5. Alright, so I need to watch out for this, because if I try to eliminate 5, what's going to happen is I'm going to subtract 5 from here, subtract 5 from here, and I end up with 20x equals 21x minus 5. Now there's still a total of 3 terms in this calculation. 1, 2, 3. So it hasn't actually become more simplified, and that's what you want. So to go forward, instead of subtracting the 5, I'm going to choose the next lowest term. In this case, it is simply going to be the 20. Alright, now let's see what happens when I go for that one. So I'm going to now say, let's get a pen. This 20 here is positive, so I'm going to subtract 20 from this side and subtract 20 this side. Big part of 20x, leaving me with just 5, and it's positive 5, is equal to 1x, or just x. So I've actually solved it there by just balancing there, and I've got x is equal to 5. You can always check your answer by substituting here, and I can see that 20 times 5 is 100, 100 plus 5 is 108 on the left hand side, On the right hand side, if I do 21 times 5, I get 105 plus 3, which is 108 on the right hand side, so it makes sense. Now it's up to you, like I said in the classroom, you can't really go wrong as long as you follow the method, but it's about making wise choices about which terms you cancel out or eliminate. Let's have a look at one more, and if you think you can, go ahead and try it ahead of me. So let's try 3x minus 10 is equal to x plus 2. You might want to pause and have a go. Right, so I'm going to first of all go for the x. So subtract x on this side, subtract x on this side, leaving me with 2x minus 10 is equal to just my 2. Then I'm going to actually go for the 10. Even though 2 is lower, I'm going to go for the 10 because I'm going to cancel it out, even though it isn't the lowest term, because I want to get all of my variables on one side and my constants on the other. So I'm going to actually get rid of this 10, not by subtracting 10, but in this case, because I want to cancel out that negative 10, I'm going to do the opposite, which is add 10 to this side and add 10 to this side, giving me 2x, nothing here, equals 12. Now, if 2 something is equal to 12, I want to find out what one of them is. Here, I'm always going to use the coefficient, the value next to a variable, and I'm going to divide that out. So I'm going to divide this side by 2. Got 2 somethings, I want to find out what one is. Divide by 2, giving me x is equal to 6. Okay? Here are 2 more for you to try. So let's do question A. Let's have you trying to work out 6x minus 3 is equal to 5x minus 7, and B. Let's see if we can do 5x. Actually, no, let's make it much more difficult. Much more difficult than that. I think this is too easy for you guys. Let's have minus 3x plus 5 equals minus 6x plus 1. Pause and have a go if you'd like. So for question A, I'm going to look at this and I'm going to say, alright, the lowest term in this case isn't 3, it's actually minus 7. Minus 7 is lower than 3. And minus 3 at that. So I'm going to say, alright, I want to get rid of that minus 7. To do that, I need to use the opposite. So I'm going to say, let me add 7 here, add 7 here, giving me 6x plus 4 is equal to 5x, and that plus 7 minus 7 cancel out. Next thing I want to do is I'm going to head for not the 4, because that's not going to make things simpler. I want to get all of my x's on one side and my constants on the other. So I'm actually going to go for the 5, and I'm going to say minus 5x, because it's positive, minus 5x, which gives me x plus 4 is equal to 0. So we have a strange situation here. I've got everything on my left hand side and nothing on my right hand side because I've just got 0 there. So I want to leave my x there because it's positive and that's what I want. But I want to eliminate the plus 4. But what happens when I try to eliminate the plus 4 by minusing 4 from both sides? Minus 4. I end up with x is equal to 0 minus 4, which is minus 4. So that is actually the answer. 0 is equal to minus 4. I mean, x is equal to minus 4. On this side, this one actually looks more complicated, but it isn't. Here, I will go for lowest term. Here it's minus 6x. So I'm going to add 6x to both sides, plus 6x. You don't always have to go for the lowest term. It will always work out, but just make sure that there is something that's going to be eliminated and you are progressing through the calculation. So I'm going to say that's going to give me 3x plus 5 is equal to 1. Then, again, just like before, I could try to go for the 1, but that's going to leave nothing on the right hand side. So, thinking logically, I want my x to stay on one side and my number say on the other, my whole number, my constant say on the other side. So I'm going to say, let me take away 5 from here, take away 5 from here, giving me 3x is equal to minus 4. And don't be afraid by it being a minus number, we're still going to approach it the same way. So we're going to divide this by 3 and divide this by 3. Remembering rules about multiplying and dividing negative numbers, you can only produce a negative product or quotient when you're multiplying or dividing two numbers, one which is negative, one which is positive. It doesn't matter which order they're in. So I know 3x divided by 3 is going to give me one of those x's, but on this side it's going to give me a negative 4 over 3. And some of you might go further because you're good at turning improper fractions into mixed numbers, giving you negative 1 1/3. Alright, so hope you find it useful and hope you practice and ready for the next lesson.